desde The Social Festival México. Estamos con Pete Tong. Pete, welcome to Mexico.
Hi,
how was it?
It was good. It was good. I mean, I was a bit tired. I flew from San Francisco via Phoenix, like straight from the stage, so I didn't get much sleep. But as soon as I got out there, it felt good. I mean, it was an earlier set than I played last year, but it's filled up now. So new venue as well. So.
Yeah, that's a DJ life, right? Like the no sleeping part.
Yeah.
Do you said it's like the worst part of DJing, or it's okay for you?
No, it's the dark side that people don't see. You know, getting between countries. I mean, it's not. You know, I always say that no one's really going to feel sorry for you, but it is hard. You know, you're up all night, and then quite often you have to get a plane straight away or first thing in the morning after a couple of hours sleep. So we all try and look after ourselves.
Pete, going back to the beginning, I wanted to get a sense of the first time you listened to certain type of music and you decided you want to make a career of it. Do you remember that time?
Yeah, I mean, I was always into music as a kid, really early. I think where I identified, it was really hearing dance music for the first time, and funk and soul, and records that people would dance to, like reggae, and then I knew I wanted to kind of specialize. I didn't want to just play pop music. I wanted to play this, you know, cool music that wasn't necessarily on the radio. So that's kind of how it started. I got into rap and hip hop, and like obviously I was there at the beginning of like house music and techno. So it was the desire to make people dance. I like soul music. I like techno with soul in it. That's what it's always been about to me. So.
Okay. So being in the industry for so many years now, how can you describe the evolution of electronic music all these years?
Well, I think now it's whereas maybe at the beginning it seemed like a very exclusive club, hard to get in. Now it's very DIY. You know, anyone can have a go. Really, you can make music. You know, the ability to make music. You know, the potential to make music so much easier for everyone now, and that's why, you know, you see so many people. And then I think the internet back in the late 90s, early 2000s connected the world. So DJs started traveling all over the globe. The world sort of started dancing to the same record instead of having different scenes all over the place. And that's the biggest change, because when I started, it was just, you know, London, Manchester, Ibiza. It was isolated pockets. Now it's everywhere. So.
Okay. So nowadays, with this evolution in music, what makes a track essential for you?
Well, just it's still originality and melody, some soul in the music, and some skills in terms of production, and just having something different to say. It's the downside of today is it's a very crowded space. You know, billions and billions, millions, thousands, whatever people make records, make tracks. So the ability, you know, it's harder than ever to stand out. So I think what makes a great record, a great track, is still just almost like you'd say a brilliant song. But obviously in dance music, most of them are instrumental. But it's just something unique, a unique melody, a unique thing. So.
Okay. And sometimes it's difficult to find it, I can imagine. But with your radio show and with your label, do you say these two platforms are good ways to find new talent for you?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, radio is all about championing talent that I find and great music. The label is about signing individual artists and then working with them and developing them. I also work with an agency doing the same thing, you know, developing people's lives, careers. So everything I do is really involved in music. So.
Okay. So, Pete, I'm a huge fan of Ibiza Classics. I wanted to ask you, how do you choose the tracks you're gonna feature in there?
Well, at the beginning, we only had a 70-minute slot to do this show, so the theme was Ibiza Classics, so it was looking at amazing tracks that would orchestrate well. It was pretty, you know, it's not rocket science to find amazing tracks, because obviously there's so many. it's a little bit harder to work out, you know, how to orchestrate them. And then I was intent on the orchestra appearing to mix them together. So you have to have things flowing in key and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, the tunes picked themselves, but then there was like 100, and we had to pick 20. You know, I picked 20 that I thought would go together in a show, and that worked. And then the next year we had to find some more, and then now we're on the, you know, we made 2 albums. We're on the 3rd album now. I'm in the middle of it. So by the end of finishing the 3rd album, we'd probably got a repertoire of 50, 60 tracks that we could perform. We'll never perform them all on one night, but our kind of library is getting bigger.
Wow, it's really, really amazing. So, talking about All Gone by Tong, it's like a movie every music lover should see. So, what do you think it's the legacy from that film?
It was intended, it followed another film I did called Human Traffic, which was really about what it was like to be in the audience and want to live for the weekend and live for the music and live for the party. And then we always wanted to make a film about the DJs. And obviously it was humorous, it was meant to be a send-up, you know, a comic look at how crazy DJ life got in the mid to late 90s. So I thought that's and it became a kind of cult film. I think in light of what happened to Avicii, it's also a warning sign about the excesses of, you know, the lifestyle and the partying and then the traveling and how hard it is on people as well. So it maybe has a bit more of a darker twist now. But yeah.
I was thinking just a few days ago that you were a huge part on Avicii's career. Also, I wanted to ask you about this. How do you remember this guy, his legacy on music?
Well, I mean, it's a tragedy. It's horrible. It's one of the worst things that's ever happened in my career. It's the first time a young boy who then became a man, you know, flew as high as he did and conquered the world, and then and ends up hitting, you know, and his life ends at such a young age, at 28. So I think it's still very fresh, obviously in everyone's mind. We don't know exactly what happened, but I think if anything comes out of it, it should be that it's a lesson to everybody. But he was an amazing talent. I mean, I think I first got his first track off him in 2008. He was just in his bedroom, inspired by, I mean, he was the first one in the EDM era as a kid. You know, everyone else that came through, you know, David Guetta, the Swedish House Mafia, Tiesto, Armin van Buuren, they'd all been doing it for 10 years. And then the scene took off in America. But Avicii had, you know, he was the first new one that was actually too young to go to a club, started making music, and he clearly had talent creating melodies and songwriting. So, and he there wasn't really much of a warm-up with Avicii. Bromance dropped in 2010. He was on my show doing the Essential Mix at the end of that year. And then by 2011, Levels was released, and he immediately became a superstar. And then he went around the world, you know, for 5 years and burnt out, and then eventually tried to retire in 2016. But clearly, it wasn't enough, you know.
Yeah. It's really sad, and I think we are all like very sad for that in all in electronic music. So, talking about your own work, are you working currently on something? Like, are you gonna launch something this year? Or
the third Classics album will come in November. We've got a whole run of shows in July in the UK, and then we're back in November, taking the show for the first time to Holland, to Amsterdam, and to Brussels. I'm going there next week actually to kind of set the whole thing up, and then I'm back at Blue Marlin in Ibiza, starting, believe it or not, the Ibiza season starts next Sunday, which is kind of crazy. So I'm doing eight parties there between May and the end of September. So.
Wow, it sounds really, really cool. So, Pete, you've been all over the world. You played literally all over the world. You've been awarded. What else do you need to achieve? What is your big dream?
I guess just keep enjoying it and do more things that I love and less things that I don't love. But you know, continue to try and innovate and just keep coming up with original things to do.
Okay,
The orchestra right now is obviously a massive priority. That's been an unexpected development in my career, and I want to push it as far as it can go. And I still think somehow, the way I do radio, maybe there's another level to that with all the kind of modern technology and developments in social media and people's listening habits. So I'm looking at that as well. So.
Okay. So Pete, thank you very much for talking to us. Anything you want to say to your fans?
Thank you for listening, for supporting me. So, and here we are in Mexico, Social Festival.
Thank you for your music. Gracias y continuamos aquí en The Social Festival México.